It's a given that fans of the Kingsman series, books or otherwise, are impossibly excited about the prospect of a new movie, and as a result are coming up with all sorts of theories about the direction the movie plot could take. Who and what can we expect to see in Kingsman 3? Here's everything you need to know about Kingsman 3, theories and questions you want answered. The Kingsman trilogy plus spin-offs. Since the Kingsman series has been a part of a cinematic universe of sorts for years now, this new installment has fans nothing but excited about what director Matthew Vaughn, who's been involved in the creation of the last two Kingsmen, has in store for this movie. What's interesting here is that since the prequel has no comic book to guide its trajectory like the last two movies did, fans feel comfortable and even excited thinking about all the ways the Secret Service could have formed. From downright awful next to impossible theories to actually believable theories, fans of the comic book series have been hard at work trying to unravel every loose thread that is awarded to them in the form of teaser trailers. The movie, set to premiere on the 22nd of December this year, has every fan on the edge of their seats, and it feels as though this might be where the franchise keeps going on to. In the past movies set in the future, and any future movies and spin-offs yet to come out, fans believe Eggsy will be interwoven into the story. Often, when we're involved in a franchise with multiple likable characters, we start wanting them to make an appearance, or at least be mentioned, in every movie associated with the franchise. And that's a reasonable wish. Of course, fans who've relied on Eggsy, aka Gary Irwin, to carry the entire franchise may want him to appear in this spin-off installment in any way that's possible for him to do so. And since the movie takes place a significant amount of decades before Eggsy becomes one of the Kingsmen, many fans have theorized that because of a character exists with the name Lee Unwin, they must be Gary's ancestor. Some fans believe that while the movie is far too early to star Eggsy's father, the movie can potentially include his great-grandfather or even his great-great-grandfather. And as exciting as this may be for some fans, others believe it would be a hilariously bad theory, even going so far as to say that including such a plot would restrict the Kingsman franchise to just a singular family when there is so much potential the series possesses. So while it may be a very unlikely possibility, keep your eyes peeled for Easter eggs relative to the movies set in the present. There's a secret villain. Okay, well, the theory does not put it like that exactly, but so far, in all the teasers and trailers have showcased Rasputin as the big bad played by Reyes Isfans, with minor villains like Kitchener, a controversial British politician of the time, and Eric Jan Hunnesen, the man who schooled Adolf Hitler in the art of public delivery. These characters will be played by Charles Dance and Daniel Brunn, respectively. And thanks to the trailer, we have a general idea of how the villains might come into play, as the trailer implies that there is a bigger global threat that this team assembled by the Duke of Oxford are expected to fight against, and often his face is obscured by backlighting. But so far, he seems to be bald and speaks in a thick Scottish accent. In the trailers, he is seen being referred to as the Shepherd, which is still unconfirmed, but the character in one of the released clips refers to his army as his flock, which does fall in line with that name quite perfectly. His flock, for lack of a better word, are also seen wearing rings with the symbol of a shepherd's crook. Many believe that this character may be obscured for one of two reasons. Either he's a character that's already been introduced into the audience, or a more likely theory is that this character presides with our heroes until a plot twist reveals them to be the bad guy all along, with their nefarious plan and motivation. Adding on to the last theory, Matthew Good might take on this role. Despite being absent from many posters, fans started to suspect that Matthew Good might be playing the character after he appeared in a poster in late 2020. Another name for this character has been displayed as Captain Morton on the official fans' Wikipedia page. Either way, this is a pretty popular theory in the fandom, as there have been enough hints for this to be the case. Rival spy group. Even in movies like the Bond films, who are more focused on the action, there lies a pretty huge empty space when it concerns well-respected action or espionage movies starring women that don't involve their appearance as a means of seductivity, ensnaring the concerned party. As the world grows more aware of this hypocrisy and tries to bridge the quite wide gap, it's actually reasonable to expect the Kingsmen to try and take this approach. One of the few female characters and spies we've been introduced to has been the character Polly. It's reasonably valid to assume that Polly, played by Gemma Arterton, grows sick of the double standards that exist within the Secret Service that hinder her growth in her espionage career and decides to start anew. It's possible possible that she may have been rejected from joining the group despite her skill level, which prompted her to come up with a whole new rival spy organization. But that's just a theory that comes to mind when we try fleshing out each character. As we expect the movie to do, this storyline, however, would allow more opportunity for spin-offs and holds a lot of money-making potential, but only if it's handled well. Often movies will try to force messages of girl power in for a higher rating, but end up just making it look like a half-baked idea that no one enjoys. The hilarious Ian Fleming theory. Let us question how self-congratulatory is too self-congratulatory. Well, this next theory would seem to suggest that the limit does not exist. We all know how the Secret Service paid homage to the James Bond movies, often in a hilariously over-the-top way, and this theory suggests that in this universe, a young Ian Fleming, creator of the Bond, may run into the members of the Secret Service, and as a result, will be inspired to create the Bond universe as it stands. This, of course, is more of a fun theory than one based on legitimate grounds, and does not sound to be taken more seriously than what it is. Ian Fleming would be an adolescent in this movie's timeline, which does mean that he fits in perfectly for the theory to be applicable, but it's just too on the nose and narcissistic to ever work in an authentic way. Conrad might die. This movie's protagonist, aka Conrad, played by Harris Dickinson, is expected to die in one of the more plausible theories. Apparently, when we meet him in the movie, Conrad is a World War I hero with deep emotional and physical battle scars, and he's said to be mentored by Ralph Fiennes' Duke of Oxford. The Duke of Oxford's character is also said to be suave and over the top, and an existing Kingsman. This will be our window in the secret spy world, along with Conrad, but at this point in the movie there is no Secret Service, and many believe that Conrad's death will cause the emergence of the Kingsman. In the original Kingsman, producers said upon the discussion of the Secret Service's formation that the original group had been formed after multiple wealthy men from the upper class lost their sons in World War I. This, in turn, caused them to bond and create the group. This singular comment has sparked rumors about Conrad's death even before we see him perform. A hilariously ironic yet plausible theory. Magical origin. This theory is as funny as it is unlikely, but it seems to have gained enough traction to be worth talking about. So let's discuss it. An old legend claims that Rasputin possessed magical abilities, as there might have been no more human explanation for this irresistible charisma and charms. This rumor seems to be enough for fans who love fantasy elements in their espionage movies to let their imaginations run wild. The movie is titled The King's Man. The franchise, The Kingsmen, an obvious nod to the Arthurian legend and the Round Table Knights, who the spies seem to inherit their codenames from. Many believe that they can come into play. Merlin was a sorcerer in the original legend, after all. Of course, the movie has given us no indication of that being the case by inclusion in past films in their franchise, or in any of its trailers, and still relies more on a spy thriller side of the movie genre spectrum. It hasn't stopped fans from wanting to see real-life magic woven into the plot. It would, of course, be difficult and almost nearly impossible to do so late in the franchise, but theories are theories. Either way, despite its legitimacy, it's a good theory to think about. And with that, we wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.